The ancient Persians used to deliberate on important matters when they were drunk, and then they would reconsider the following day when they were sober. If a decision was approved both drunk and sober, the decision held. If not, the Persians set it aside. My name is Willows.
And my name is Tyler.
And we still adhere to these ancient traditions. This is Alcohol Beyond This Point. That's the shorter intro. I'm testing it out now. I think I'm gonna keep changing it, and we'll see what's good. But hello.
Good day.
This is actually pretty close. We usually film like 2 weeks apart. This is like, what, 4 days? That was a joke. Tell that story. I'll open a bottle of wine while you tell that story.
Well, this is lost all concept of time. So he helped me out the other day, moving my new tile saw, which is giant, with his cargo van.
Yeah.
So much appreciated. But
you're welcome.
So we do this early morning, Friday, like 9 in the morning. That's early.
Yeah.
And yeah, so today's Monday. And then I'm like, yeah, I was working last night till like midnight. He's like, oh yeah, like the day we moved the saw, right? Or got your tools. And I just looked. It took me like 3 seconds to realize what he was saying. I'm like, that was 3 days ago. That was not yesterday. It was 3 days ago.
Quarantine is not treating me well.
He was so confused.
Okay,
oh my god.
I'm a little bit stir crazy. COVID quarantine has not been treating me well, if we're being completely honest.
I'm just so grateful to be busy right now.
I guess like I always say I get extrovert anxiety.
Yeah.
Or I like if I don't go outside.
Yeah, absolutely.
I get like anxious.
Yeah.
So like right now I would like nothing more than to go to a fucking chaos-filled busy bar and just sit.
There's so many events that we could be hitting right now. I mean, I was just looking at my Google Photos, and today was the anniversary of a day when we were sitting on a patio, on a heated patio with a bunch of our friends, rooftop thing.
Yeah.
Looking out over like the True North Square still being built. And I got this like really sick photo of you. It was like sunset and whatever. And this is pretty early on, probably first year we knew each other.
Yeah, that we didn't even.
And like this.
This is the second or third time we met, I think.
Yeah, so this time of year we were sitting on a patio.
Enjoying ourselves. Not dying of a pandemic.
It was like -7 last night. Fuck.
Yeah. So today we're drinking some basically just mismatch out of my fridge. We got one of my Shrugging Dr. brand raspberry wines. That's what I just cracked and poured. We got a Shrugging Dr. brand apple cider. We have a half bottle of oxidized homebrew grape wine.
Terrible wine.
It's fine. And then I just poured 2 shots of what I'm gonna puke on probably. Is a Pilsner, it's a grappa, so it's basically you take the grape skins that are left over of making wine and you distill them. I'll show it to the camera if you're watching on YouTube.
It tastes kind of weird.
It's not great. Apparently it's an acquired taste. Apparently in like Italy or wherever they like drink it in their coffee.
Oh,
and that's like a popular thing.
Yeah, okay.
Like that's common is that these people drink it in their coffee. So apparently that's a thing, but it's bad. It's okay. I don't personally like it. I'm not going to say it's bad. It's probably an acquired taste. It's 43%. It's kind of brutal, and it's basically distilled from the worst part of it. It's the garbage of the grapes, right?
How would you describe the taste?
Vodka.
But
vodka-y.
Yeah.
Vodka and rotten grapes. I don't know.
Vodka and old grapes is the.
If you like grappa, then great. But I'm just not a fan. So we're gonna take a shot of this quick, and I might puke. But if we don't puke, then we'll be drunker, and then happier, and then podcast. Don't think about it. Don't think about it.
It's gross.
I know.
Oh, gross. Usually I can raw dog these shots, but man, that's gross.
Oh! I literally just felt that through my entire body. I'm not even kidding.
Okay, you guys are not making grappa.
We are. We already did.
Oh, no.
I can make a better one.
Yeah, no, you can. Gross. Please, somebody sponsor a bottle.
So that was this week's shot time. What do we have a name for that segment yet?
No.
So we don't have we started the last two podcasts by taking 2 shots. I'm only doing one of those.
Yeah, I agree. We've already been drinking.
Oh. Anyway,
bad. It was really bad.
That was bad. Yeah. No. So I was editing. This is episode 13. I just put up episode 11 a couple days ago, and I really liked because we were drunk when we started it, because that was the episode where you would quit your job, so you bought that cognac.
Yeah.
So we were already drunk going into the episode, and I really liked because we didn't even have a theme like we don't today either, but we found the UBI thing like 10 minutes into it, and that became like our topic of debate, and I was like actually mad at a certain point, like not actually mad, but like I was like getting impassioned. Like it was a good episode. So I think just kind of the drunkenness kind of leads us to
we go from like tipsy to drunk. It takes a while for the booze to kick in. If you start sober, it takes you 30-40 minutes before you start feeling it, right? Yeah,
well, because the liquor for this podcast has always been kind of not a gimmick, but like more a catalyst for the conversation, rather than we don't actually need to discuss something sober and then discuss it wasted. Like that's it's the theme more than it is actually a rule.
Although I would love to see the controls that they would have, like the Greeks, right?
Persians.
Persians.
It was a Greek historian that noted it.
Right.
Herodotus, yeah.
So the Persians would actually use this. Is there like a guy at the door that's like taking the people that come in, and they do like a sobriety test, and you have to like fail the sobriety test or you cannot sit in the House of Commons that
Well, yeah, I assume it was some sort of...
That'd be hilarious.
So I know how the House of Commons... I don't think that's what it was called, but for the House of Commons for the Greeks and the Romans was like this open floor space, and the person talking would like walk into the middle and speak to everyone kind of thing.
Very much like it is today.
Yeah, more or less. Like now everyone just has their own chairs and then you stand up when you talk, right? That's how Canada does it. That's how England does it. I think that's how US does it probably.
Yeah. Because if they were using the middle of the floor, it'd probably turn into a boxing ring.
Now, yeah. But so I assume that's how the Persians used to do it was, you just taught whatever and then they just, I don't know, get drunk.
Yeah, so the sober session, fine, you got to pass the sobriety test. The other one, you got to fail.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, it's because they were trying to measure whether their ideas were actually good, like in different states of mind.
Yeah, which would be fantastic.
Because being intoxicated or inebriated in any way on any substance kind of pushes the way your mind thinks, right? Like it pushes you in a different direction.
It's an elevated state.
Yeah, an elevated state. Yeah, I would agree. So, so I mean, like it makes sense. So here we are.
Much like how nicotine apparently is good if you have COVID because there's hyperreactivity of your immune system. I forget what they call that. Anyways, not a scientist, but basically your white blood cell count goes too high, and it makes you sicker. It makes the immune response worse because your body overreacts to it.
Okay.
Nicotine is an immune suppressant, which is usually bad for getting sick, but in this case, it actually helps.
So you're saying let's start smoking?
That's what they're saying, but they explicitly then say we're not saying that, but we're also not saying that we're not saying that. Like, no, it just said get nicotine somehow. If you're gonna do it, we recommend a patch. Is what they ended up saying.
That's funny. I've never smoked a cigarette in my entire life. Fun fact.
I've never smoked a whole cigarette.
I've never even.
I've gotten halfway down and I almost puked and had to throw it out.
Yeah, I've never even tried. Never appealed to me. I really don't like the smell.
Nope. It's gross.
I've smoked the occasional cigar, big ass cigar to celebrate something.
I got my Monte Cristos.
Yep, that's true. Yeah, to celebrate, I like big ass thick cigars too. But those are like different because you like take a puff or two and then you're like, okay, I
Well,
don't
your
want.
mouth smoking it too.
Yeah, you don't swallow anything or you don't breathe anything in, right? So swallow, suck. Yeah, I don't know. Just never appealed to me. I don't smoke marijuana either. I have before, but I don't do not.
So, sidebar: my mom came home the other day from going grocery shopping, whatever, and she's like offhandedly says, she's like, you know that the Meta cannabis store is like really nice inside. And I look at her, I'm like, Mom?
And this is like a nice Mennonite woman,
She's
God-fearing.
always sober. Like, this much wine would be, tempting fate.
Her wine rack is filled with
Shrugging Doctor.
Shrugging Doctor, though. So
yeah, no.
Shout out Sarah, we love you.
She does love her wine, but she doesn't get drunk.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why were you at the weed store? She's like, oh, well, I was having trouble sleeping. I got this CBD THC oil that's supposed to help you go to sleep.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay.
And plus for Maya.
Yeah, very, very proud moment, I must say. I'm like, Mom, you went to a weed store, like, of your own volition. I didn't even talk you into this one.
That's like my dad started using CBD, like creams and stuff.
Yeah.
But he only did it once marijuana was legal. And I'm like, Dad, like CBD was never really illegal. Like you could have just been doing. He's like, I just wanted to make sure everything was on the up and up. Like my dad, right? Like very.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you have to get the double stamp of approval.
And it was funny because like when my brother was alive, like he would smoke a bunch of weed, and so like my dad would take him to the dispensary. And he would buy marijuana, and then my father would buy like CBD topical cream, like whatever.
Family outing.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
So today we just had our mastermind conversation.
We talked about that on the podcast.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, so we've been doing weekly every Monday. The two of us, myself and Tyler, and then two of our friends. Who are also somewhat business-minded. They're not necessarily business owners, but they're same kind of, drive and motivation that we have.
Yeah, they want to get there.
And so this is week 4 now. We've been doing a weekly mastermind, basically, where we all get on FaceTime and we all, it's about an hour and a half long, where we start with kind of just temperature check of what we've done that week and how we're feeling, and then we go into every person has their own week where they're allowed to talk about whatever they want to talk about. Yeah. And then we kind of all give feedback. And the idea is, or at least what I get from it, you can chime in, but what I get from it is keeping each other accountable for our goals is really important, because especially us all being business owners, it's hard, like I have no one that I'm accountable to. If I don't show up to work, nothing fucking happens. Like, Yeah. So to keep myself to my goals, it's like, because I know next week, fucking Tyler is going to be riding my ass, being like, what'd you do that thing you said you were going to do?
But even that, we don't even have to say anything, because just the idea of the fact
of letting someone down.
Of you said you were going to do something
to
a group of people, whose purpose it is to pay attention to that thing.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing they're paying attention to is your goals, your visions, your aspirations. What are you doing? What's your work? So we're always very specific. Okay, what's an actionable goal?
Yeah.
And we write that down and we follow up with it.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be forceful or even bring it to attention at all. And today was one of our friends, JL, and he had his day today, and it was like fantastic progress in terms of his mindset and what he decided to do in his career. But I would argue that I think the group had a lot to do with it, because it kind of put a bit of pressure and a timeline onto his feelings and thoughts that were already there.
Yeah.
Kind of forced him into action.
Yeah. And I said it to him when we were talking, is I said, like, he articulates his goals better than almost anyone I've ever met.
Yeah.
And it was just really nice to see him kind of lay out. And he kept talking, and I'm like, how do you have all this planned out already? It almost seemed like he was reading something. He wasn't, but it was like, I'm like, Jesus, you've thought this out. Like, it was like, so.
He's very organized thoughts. He can monologue well.
Yeah. So that was good. So I've been getting value out of it. This is the 4th time we've done it, 4th week.
So try it out with your friends. hoping to try it out as a product to sell. I actually sell groups of 3 to 5 in addition to myself, and just facilitate these groups. I mean, I don't know, my sales channels were going to be, in-person events, some social media stuff. That's all kind of put on hold right now, obviously. That's not very fashionable right now.
Thanks, COVID.
Yeah, not very fashionable right now to do networking events. So, trying to keep the hands busy.
Yeah. And how's work going? How's business going? I think
hands be busy.
Yeah, you got your first contract. You've been working on that, so that's
Yep.
Good. I'm proud of you.
Right now, just focusing on tracking my timelines. Had a hella slow week, but by my estimate, I lost 2 full days messing around with just like, the respective getting new tools and equipment I didn't have, or doing things that I hadn't done before. Yeah,
which of course, right? Like, I look back at the stuff that used to take me weeks, and now it takes me hours. Like, it's just you get better at stuff, and
Yeah, I gave myself a bunch of time estimates. So trying to stay accountable to that stuff and just measure and pay attention to everything. Like I calculated yesterday how long it takes me per tile a set. With all the other things in between, and having calculated that, I could actually work out the rest of my day a lot better, and I could figure out exactly, if I wanted to end at this time, I could do this much work, and like, I think that'll go a long ways toward building and training and all these other facilities that you're going to have to scale up. And it's hard to not get lost in my head about, like, I want to build a big business, but at the same time, you can't get around the fact that I'm doing like the most singular effort of like literally getting my own hands dirty, which cannot be duplicated, cannot be scaled, is not the fundamentals of scaling a business. Like, none of that's in action.
It's important though.
Yeah, no, it's the first
paving stone of literally everything.
The first tile,
right.
If you will.
The cornerstone. You can't skip. You can't fucking shortcut the process.
Yeah, I say it all the time. You can't cheat the process.
And what happens to people that cheat the process?
They fall as soon as COVID happens. They fall on their fucking face and they lose everything.
As soon as anything happens.
That's what I mean. I'm using this as an example, but
yes. As soon as anything happens, you spin out of control.
Well, because you have no fundamentals to fall back on.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of like, I don't want to say fake it till you make it kind of guys, but there's a lot of like people that don't actually know what they're doing.
Empty goals.
Yeah.
Some floppy goalposts.
Yeah. Yeah, lack of vision for what they're working on or whatever.
If making a commission is the definition of you scoring, like, check yourself. You're going to get absolutely wrecked in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be like everybody else. Everybody's going to be out trying to get paid. Like, I have a very deep sense of dread for the economy.
You actually worried?
I am I'm not worried. I just have like this, it's almost like I'm already mourning the crash of the stock market. Like, it's gonna be bad.
Yeah.
Like, I can feel it. And yeah, I don't know. I'm already mourning what's gonna happen in the next couple of years, which is good because I'll mourn it now, and then it'll happen,
and you'll be ready.
I'll be fine. Like, people that are like starting to stress out about COVID in the last month, like, I was there 2 months ago. I did all my freaking out in January. I'm good now. Like, I think that's to my advantage, where you anticipate things that are gonna happen, and you emotionally process them before everyone else, and then you just kind of,
you get an edge up almost.
Yeah, you just are, a couple weeks ahead. I think that really does a lot, but I think it's gonna be brutal.
Yeah.
We're talking about Lebanon.
We were talking about Lebanon. Yeah, they're like 50% of businesses are going under right now, and
30% of the registered businesses in Lebanon have claimed bankruptcy in the last 12 months.
And their debt is like 150% their GDP and stuff, and it's a whole thing.
And their currency has lost 50% of its value in the last 6 months. Their banks are getting firebombed like the protests are turning into riots. Their lockdowns are just making everything that much worse. Like, it was already bad. But, like, think about Lebanon's a small country, small impact, small economy. But, we saw what Greece did back in 2008. So, what if we have half a dozen countries that go tits up and default on their debt? What's going to happen when that many things go wrong all at once? You got Brazil, that's having a bad time. Nigeria's having a really bad time. South Africa's not having a great time. Oil markets are shit, which hurts a lot of people. Yeah. Iraq, who's going to bail out Iraq? Who's going to bail out Iraq? They are in serious trouble. I mean, they were like a, quote, World War III threat earlier this year. I mean,
remember earlier this year when we were so worried about nuclear warfare?
And
now here we are.
Realistically, they couldn't have financed that more than a month.
That was Iran, but yeah.
Right, it was Iranian general.
Yeah, remember
Soleimani, but same idea. Iran wouldn't have been able to finance it because they're also pretty oil dependent.
That'd be pretty. Thinking about that. Think about 5 episodes of this podcast ago. We're like, oh yeah, we might be dead by Iran, and now we're like, oh, we might be dead by COVID. Shit's changed so much.
I'm very happy to be documenting this whole thing.
Yeah, so am I. That's why we're doing this.
That's why we're doing this. We should be doing it more.
Yeah, shout out everyone who streamed the last episode on universal basic income. Or that was 2 episodes ago now, but that was the last one I uploaded.
Yeah.
That actually, that broke our YouTube record, I think, for your views.
A dozen.
Yeah, and we had we had 13 views or something.
30 dozen.
Shout out, and we also had 3 comments, 2 of which were a bot, and 1 guy telling us to get a better mic.
Yeah, we know.
we know, but COVID's not exactly a time I'm investing in equipment right now.
It'll happen pretty soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But I'm getting a new phone right away, so maybe it'll have a better mic.
Yeah. We still gotta get mics.
Yeah. Well, we gotta lock down a studio. We bounce between 3 different locations. We gotta lock down somewhere.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I like this spot. I like this one. Or we could just put some work into a place like we put into this place, which is not a lot of money. A bucket of paint and a string of lights.
True. Paint that back room in my house. We'll put up. We just need to get what do you call it? The sound boy.
Yeah, some sound boys.
Literally, just those will make and good mics will make it so much better.
We can do it. If you're gonna stay there for a while, then your landlord doesn't mind us painting.
Well, at least a year, right? I signed a year lease a month ago.
Would you mind us painting?
I'm sure it wouldn't be a problem.
Probably wouldn't even notice.
Probably wouldn't even notice, yeah.
No, they have one house. They would notice.
Well, they don't check it though.
Yeah. It'd be fun as long as it looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do it. You heard it here first. Yeah, we have to. Fuck.
See, keeping us accountable. So we need a topic.
I think one thing that was coming up in the mastermind is could lead us to some wormholes. Leadership.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that we criticize a lot.
We criticize other people's leadership?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And rarely our own because we don't have enough to lead that we can really fuck it up right now.
That's fair.
But having the platform to criticize, I think we're talking about vision, obviously.
Yeah.
People without purpose and vision are having a really, really fucking hard time getting anybody to fall and do anything. I think I keep going back to politics because it's really on top of everything else. It's a U.S. election year, and they can't have any. They can't have any live debates. They can't have any rallies. They can't fill stadiums. They can't create that emotional bond with their potential voters.
So if it's just up to Twitter, then Trump's gonna win again.
You got 2 guys that are literally knocking on fucking 80 years old, and I think Joe Biden is he pledging to do 1 term?
Oh, I don't know.
I think I heard something that he's like pledging to do one term. I don't do any research.
I didn't hear that.
But like he's gonna do one term and then like surrender it to another Democratic person, whatever. I don't know, something to that effect.
I don't think you can do that.
Well, no, you have to elect to.
You have to have an election.
You have to rerun again.
Yeah.
But he was saying something about he's not gonna rerun because he's too fucking old or something. I don't
He's
know.
too fucking old now.
Yeah, no, and they have to campaign online.
Yeah.
So you got two senile
Old men.
old men.
At least Trump knows how to Twitter, though. He always has.
Does he?
Yeah.
He knows how to tweet.
No, I think he knows what he's doing.
I think
it's not as stupid as it seems. I think there's a strategy in place.
He's doing really.
But everyone talks about it. That's the point. Like
I know, I get it, but I don't know if he's that smart. Like people.
I think because
people rise to fame by being controversial.
Yeah.
Not trying to be controversial. They're actually just assholes.
I'm not saying he's not an asshole.
Yeah.
I'm saying I think he knows what he's doing. The fact that he can get the New York Times or fucking NBC or CNN or whoever to write an entire article off of a tweet that he tweeted, one of 60 for the day.
Yeah.
Like I think he's well aware of the effect he has on
If
people.
it's eyeballs and coverage, like he's winning over Biden.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a funny perspective.
So there's an interesting perspective about how Trump's polling lower than Biden right now.
Okay.
And because here's the irony, is they're both terrible on stage, or no, Trump's good on stage, terrible in the public eye in general, being president. He makes himself look bad every day. And then there's Biden, who's terrible on the campaign trail. He just cannot look good on stage. He says dumb shit all the time.
He loses his train of thought.
He loses his train of thought. He's not good in like long form interviews and discussions. Like he can't keep up. And on the campaign trail, he loses momentum because he just can't do the job.
Because I can see Trump destroying him in a debate.
Trump would destroy him in a debate, calling him Sleepy Joe.
Yeah.
Fucking walking all over him, way more energy. On the campaign trail, Trump is a fucking animal.
Yeah.
He was doing like 3-4 cities a day.
Yeah.
Flying in his private jet, just stage after stage after stage.
Oh, yeah, because Bernie has to take a bus cross
Right.
country because he doesn't need money.
Yeah.
Trump's like, fuck it. Like,
Yeah, he takes his private plane. Like now he's got Air Force One, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the incumbent usually wins.
Yeah.
But right now the irony is because Trump's getting all this publicity because he has this like daily address because of COVID.
Yeah.
He's got all his tweets. He's getting all this news coverage because of how bad of a job he's doing. And then they're like analyzing all of his stuff he said back in February that just contradicts what he's saying today. And he's like trying to spin the narrative in his favor. And like they're like, oh, he's doing this for the election. And now all you're thinking is COVID, election, Trump, lies, Trump, election, COVID, Trump. Like look what Trudeau did. Like everyone hated him and he won.
yeah.
Like people that loved him were talking about him, and everyone else was also talking about how shitty he was.
I'm a pretty firm believer in all press is good press.
Right. So that by that measuring stick, Trump's gonna kill it.
Yeah.
But just in like straight opinion polls, which I don't think bears a lot.
We should live stream the results.
Yes.
Like get drunk and
I'm
live
down.
stream.
Yes, I'm down.
That's not for a while, but
Yeah, so Biden is actually polling higher than Trump, and they're saying because he's getting less camera time.
Yeah.
Than Trump, and Trump's getting low polls because he's getting a lot of camera time.
yeah.
Which is like the
It's
opposite.
like the exact opposite.
Yeah, no, isn't it like he's people hate him because he's on camera and because he says dumb shit all the time, and Biden's polling well because he doesn't have the opportunity to look
So,
stupid,
yeah, okay, that's fair. Yeah, yeah.
which I think is hilarious.
Yeah.
It won't obviously, I don't think it'll shake out like that in the voting, but the fact that he's stuck at home and can't hardly get on a network television show to, say his opinion. The only thing he's been able to say is deny the claims of rape, which I mean, like every 4 years, every election, there's some other sexual scandal.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
even that's a broken record.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Willow's lock of the week is Donald Trump, president, 2020 winner.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Biden can beat him.
No.
Just like if Clinton couldn't beat him, Biden can't beat him.
Well, I was saying, my cousin came over the other day and we were talking. He works in he's worked in the government for a long time. He worked for I probably shouldn't say exactly, but he worked for a certain federal agency and now he works for a provincial agency. So we always talk politics when he comes over, and we were talking about how like if they didn't learn from Hillary Clinton, like Hillary Clinton was the most establishment like politician you could have run, like family member of another politician, like forever rich, forever whatever, like
Forever white.
forever whatever, and Trump was the opposite. He was the non-establishment guy.
Yeah.
So, did they not learn a fucking thing? Biden's the same. He's a lifetime fucking politician. Like.
Yeah, I mean, they're hoping he's going to run a more progressive vice president, but. Yeah,
like when Bernie is your vice president?
No, like Elizabeth Warren. It's guaranteed to be female.
Yeah, I guess for the diversity thing.
No, it's been announced.
Tulsi! Get Tulsi!
I don't know if she's on the list.
I get Tulsi!
They're listed like 8. Maybe.
I like Tulsi a lot. I think she's really smart. I would love to see her as the first female president of the United States.
Yeah, because Biden's going to die 2 years in because he's old.
And then Tulsi takes it.
Like first,
Tulsi!
One bad thing will happen. He'll have an aneurysm.
It's like Wilson Raybould here. I love her.
Tell me about Tulsi. I don't know about Tulsi.
Tulsi, she's just she's good. I don't know. She's the senator for Hawaii.
Okay.
She was in the Air Force or something. She was like an officer in the Air Force,
Okay.
or maybe the Navy. I don't know anything about military.
Either one of those happened in Hawaii.
And she's just really well spoken. She's like actually like pretty libertarian. Like maybe not pretty libertarian, but like has some where she agrees. Because she was on Joe Rogan, and Joe was like, "Why don't you run for the Republican Party? Like I feel like you align with them a lot more than you align with the Democrats." And she was basically just like, "Oh, I don't like the Republican Party. Like whatever, blah blah blah." But I think she's really well spoken. Like she seems really compassionate. Not like Hillary Clinton. She's not a sociopath. Like I really like. I've heard her in long interviews like Joe Rogan and a couple other things. I just really like her whole shtick.
One of the funniest things I've heard is Hillary Clinton being asked why she thinks people don't like her.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, I have no idea. She's like, I've been, people think I'm dishonest. I've been the same person the whole time. It's like, yeah, fucking snake.
That's
the
the
whole
problem.
time.
Yeah,
all
no,
the time.
I hate Hillary Clinton.
Everybody knows.
I think Hillary Clinton's a snake and just a sociopath, and just like if you want to subscribe to the conspiracies where was complacent with Epstein and everything, and all that stuff, that's a whole different thing. But just based on what she's done.
Yeah, it's like this senator that was getting interviewed, and she was like specifically crossing the Clintons, and people are like, "Oh, are you sure you want to do that?" Like alluding to the Clinton body count.
Well, whether or not we could talk about Seth Reich or whatever his name was, the journalist that was murdered in a botched robbery, quote, quote, but they didn't take his wallet or anything right before he was going to testify against Hillary Clinton. Seth Reich, something like that, yeah. We can talk about that. We can talk about how fucking Benghazi. We can talk about everything. But at the end of the day, those are all unprovable conspiracy, quote, quote, quote. If you just look at her...
If you just look at the UFOs, all the conspiracies
Well, if you just look at her in reality, her personality, her policy, everything she does, she's a sociopath. I don't like her. She has never done anything good for this country.
She served her family.
Yeah, and yeah. So.
And whoever's giving her $100,000 dinner plate.
And that isn't a Trump endorsement. It's just it was an anti-Hillary. Like you literally ran the two worst candidates ever. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like that election, the 2006 U.S. presidential election, was the highest third-party voting ever.
2006.
2016.
16.
That's what I meant.
You
Sorry.
said 2006.
Okay, I meant 2016. That was the highest third-party voting ever.
Yeah.
Because everyone was like, "Well, this sucks."
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
So, back to leadership of Trump. I mean, besides the headlines, here's my real perspective on it. Because by all accounts, he's a tyrant among leadership, like within the Republican Party, in the White House. Just he's in general like either endorse me or get fucked. And like,
if you can buy a Big Mac, you're not oppressed.
what?
If you can purchase a Big Mac, you're not oppressed.
Oppressed?
Don't use the word fascist. No one in America
Okay.
is being oppressed.
No. I'm not saying people are being oppressed. I'm saying his leadership style is get on board or get fucked.
Well, that's how it's been through his entire business career.
Right, exactly. But it's not typical of a politician to
That's
be
fair.
like so cutthroat.
That's fair. Okay.
So he's like, if you don't verbally endorse him, like publicly endorse him, he will fucking crack down on you. Like whether you're a Democrat or Republican, like, and now he's using like COVID relief as a weapon against some of these governors who dare oppose him. He will pull their support. Like he will, pull their money. Whether it's national stockpile of medical supplies, like he will pull that shit for governors that don't play ball.
Yeah.
So, and apparently it's very much the same in the White House with his own staff, where he's firing tons of his own staff. There was with the polls that came out that was showing Biden higher than him, his campaign manager gave him these numbers showing that Biden was showing better than him, right? Just, these are the facts. You told us to go out and get the facts. We got the facts. Here's the facts. Trump threatened to sue him for the entirety of the retainer, and including like whatever past 4 years. I'm assuming he's got a campaign manager that just is always on staff, and he threatened to sue him for the entirety of the retainer plus damages because
For like hurting his feelings.
yeah. So then the guy came back with a different report. He fucked with the graphs or whatever, and it looked better for Trump. He's like, oh, it's okay. And now he put him back on staff. So, like, if a leader is doing that, or he's like, tell me what I want to hear, or I'll sue you, like, that's not a sustainable environment.
Which,
because
thankfully, though,
like in the quiet and peace of your voting booth, that is the moment when you like put the knife in Caesar's side.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
that's what he's going to inspire.
because his own campaign manager might not vote for him again.
Right.
Yeah.
That's his biggest danger right now is his own fucking arrogance in that respect. Like he can't listen to people.
Well, like I guess like I'm just trying to think, like, because he only has 4 more years left.
He'll probably win.
I think he's gonna win, but like, can you name a thing that he's actually done, positive or negative, for America? I'm not a U.S. policy expert by any stretch of the imagination, but like,
I'm not super familiar on the policies. It's just
because that's all that matters, right?
I mean, like, yeah, no, I think policy-wise, he was doing fantastic for the economy, right?
Yeah.
And everyone could agree, Democrats even, like, were very, very shaky on their.
Well, I like the stuff that Democrats were freaking out about with petitions and stuff, like the getting rid of like net neutrality.
Right.
So it's been like 2 years since net neutrality got repealed. Fuck, my internet is $7,000 a month. Just like they said. Wait, no, that's not true. Like, nothing happened, right? Like, nothing happened. Like, I don't know. It's like,
And now you have this. Yeah. Now you have this battle between, if the economy's good, Trump wins.
Trump wins, but because of COVID.
But because of COVID, economy's bad, very bad. So.
Then I think we
It
talked
doesn't-
about this last episode. People are inclined to keep the same president during a catastrophe.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
So you don't switch horses mid-race, right?
But it is still a point of leverage. So you'll see all the Democratic governors really pushing for lockdown as long as possible, and like really obtrusive things like you can't use your motorboat, and then all the Republican governors are like, let's get back to work. Like that's not even in public health interest. Truly,
Yeah.
it's just fucking politics.
Yeah, I don't know. It's yeah.
If it doesn't make sense. I study human nature a lot, and as anthropologists and biologists, like whenever they're looking at whatever the study of animals.
Biology.
Yeah, I did say biology.
Animology.
Boyology.
Boyology. I like them.
The boyologists.
You have to study boys.
Anytime they find something in an animal that doesn't make any sense, either in their behavior or in the way that like the animal's anatomy is.
Yeah.
Like, for example, a peacock having a giant tail.
He likes it.
Anytime you can't explain something, it's because of sex.
Gorals. It's to get gorals.
Everything is about the gorals. So
I like them.
you can write off all the unexplained shit just by money, gorals, or re-election.
It's yeah, the episode. There's an episode of Billions that's like he's like talking about bribing people basically, and he's like, yeah, like every single person starts with money and sex, and then they, you have to, so you give them money or sex, but then people get more complicated from there, right? Like they go up from money and sex, and they go to like, okay, what charities make them happy? Which, what family members giving them money would make them happy? What, like exotic vacations and, helping people, whatever it is, and it gets more complicated. And then it's like silence. He's like, for this guy, it was money and sex, but like whatever. But my point being, there's like, there's levels of I guess satisfaction, like in the whole Maslow pyramid or whatever.
Yeah, and the deeper you fall into crisis, the more primal you get.
Yeah, exactly. So I get COVID. All I want is sex.
Long story short, yeah.
Long story.
No.
Facts.
No. You get COVID. What you want is oxygen. That is the true.
Shit. Yeah, you're
first human need is like oxygen.
Well.
Then it's water.
Well. Wine.
Water or wine. Yes, oxygen, then wine.
Right.
Then it's food.
Well, there's a Mac Miller line. Rest in peace, Mac Miller. Where he said, all I eat is pussy, other people need food.
Okay, so you have oxygen, wine, pussy.
Yeah, okay, I'm with you.
Then food.
Yeah, okay.
And I haven't gotten further than that yet.
Me neither.
Personally, that's all.
Personally,
I'm okay with that. That's fine.
Alright. I've barely gotten past oxygen, if we're being honest.
Sex comes into play. It's more like companionship, being able to reproduce, whatever. They're arguing that hookup culture is dying.
Who's they?
People that care about these things.
BuzzFeed?
It ain't me.
Yeah, I don't.
Universities are doing studies and stuff,
sure.
like psychologists, whatever. They're trying to anticipate the behavioral changes
when did it peak?
Of a pandemic, right?
When did it peak? Hookup culture. Hookup culture, define it.
Like the day before lockdown.
Okay, define it though.
Like
where people aren't getting into more relationships, they're more just having casual sex.
Yeah, very content with just casual sex, casual relationships, just that entire dating culture of like, we go on Tinder, we see each other a couple times, move on. Like there's a abundant supply of, vagina or dick or whatever, and that's all you want.
You can easily drown in dicks if you want.
Exactly.
Perfect.
But now you can't.
Because COVID.
So apparently, conversations are now 25% longer
on
average on Tinder.
Okay.
Conversations are lasting longer. Unmatches are less frequent. Video calls are now happening.
Yep.
And people are apparently saying that they're going to continue on these types of dates.
Because they're like, hey, this makes me kind of feel good.
Because when you're video chatting with somebody, you can't, there's no distractions. There's no easy out. You got to present. You got to show up.
And I can also think about a text for a while.
Yeah.
Before I respond.
Yeah.
Right. I can make sure it's a good response.
Yeah. When you're having a video call, you
It's more natural, right?
In order to survive a conversation, you're actually going to have to listen and engage in a topic and deep dive on something.
Yeah.
Like, we're both conversationalists, and I mean, we're fucking monologuing for a podcast here.
Yeah.
Or dialoguing, I guess.
We're dialoguing for the 14 of you watching. I love you.
That's more people than are in the room right now.
True.
But, I mean, we've had a lot of practice at it.
Yeah. Why? Because I feel weird. I haven't really been using Tinder during the lockdown because I'm like, I don't want to. I'm like, how do I even asked my cousin, I'm like, how do I start this? Like,
Yeah.
Because my move would be like, yeah, like, okay, we're kind of having a conversation. We kind of feel like we're going to vibe. Let's go to a fucking bar and get a pint.
Yeah.
And then see if we like each other.
Yeah.
Right? I feel, because what are my options now? I'm like, do you want to, like, come over to my house immediately? You know what I mean?
Video chat?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like,
yeah, no, I also found my focus going away from it.
yeah. Which is, like, fine, I guess. Right? Like,
yeah, no, like, I felt...
Maybe I should have my mind less on stuff like that anyway, more on work.
We literally can't think about work any more than we do.
I bet I could.
To what end?
Money. Business.
I think we're doing as much as we can.
Yeah, well, we're doing a lot more than a lot of people. So I take solace in that.
Yeah, you don't gotta be the fastest. You just gotta be faster than the slowest guy.
Yeah. What did I post? I posted a quote on Facebook the other day where it was like, you don't gotta outswim the shark, you just gotta swim faster than the guy you're diving with or whatever, right?
Didn't I tag you in that, or who did you?
I posted that.
Okay, who got roasted?
I don't remember.
Oh no, I roasted you.
You know, you tried.
And I'm like, if it was us, I wouldn't be the slow one. You literally didn't even take notice.
It's a metaphor.
I swear, it was good.
It's a metaphor.
Good. You were so
We were not actually going diving and eating by fucking sharks. It's a metaphor.
We could have. We were in Mexico.
That's true.
Could have happened.
There's
I
sharks.
thought about it.
Feeding me to sharks?
Yeah.
Excuse?
It was boring.
Mexico was boring?
Did you see all the fish?
Yeah, I like them.
No, we're talking about traveling.
Yeah.
And we're actually both like kind of amazed because like, hey, we could do that again.
Yeah, you can just kind of do stuff.
Yeah.
As an adult, you can just kind of do whatever you feel like.
If you like it, you can do it again.
Yeah.
Nobody can tell you no.
Yeah, you just do it.
Amazing.
I mean, not right now, obviously, because we can't get to the fucking airport, but...
No. But I think that's one of the worst things about rich people is like you can see the product of like do anything I want as much as I want.
Yeah.
And it's like it's disgusting in some cases, but it's mostly disgusting because you would absolutely do the same thing in their position.
I always hear the metaphor of now that I'm an adult, I could eat chocolate cake for supper every single day.
Yeah.
I don't, because and it's not like that's expensive. I could do it.
I don't actually like cake that much.
Well, exactly, right? And it's like I've heard the same example with like, yeah, I could go to fucking Bali 4 days a week. I just don't. Like, it's not, it's overindulging, right?
Work to do.
Well, it's like overindulging. Not even that.
Yeah.
Like, even with people that are retired, like, that could afford it, it's like, it's not special anymore when you do it every single day.
What do you think about, what do you call it? Keyboard warriors? No, not keyboard. That's wrong. Like, basically, nomadic entrepreneurs.
Well, I think a lot of them are fake.
True.
I respect the people that actually are able to do it. Like, okay, if you want to spend every month in a new place, be my goddamn guest. Right? More power to you.
Yeah, anybody out there who's moved more than once a year?
Yeah, good.
Tell me about how fun it was.
Yeah, more power. Well, yeah, more power to you. I personally kind of like having a home base.
Yeah, quote, stay home all the time.
Yeah. I don't know, whatever.
Home's nice.
Yeah.
Man has spent thousands of years making home nice.
Exactly.
Getting from outside to inside and making inside nice.
Yeah.
And keeping outside out.
Yeah, exactly. So
we've been going in this direction a while.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of people that like quote unquote influencers that need to be in a new location every 3 months because if they don't, then their Instagram followers are going to think they're a hack.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they need to have new backgrounds and new whatever. And I think that becomes their personality almost. Like that becomes like their
Identity.
Their identity. That's the word I was looking for. Where it's not something fun you do anymore. This is what you do.
Yeah.
Right?
And you don't know how to do anything else.
Yeah. Which takes the fun out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like the freedom of of making choices is what people get into entrepreneurship for, but you get trapped in that.
Yeah.
Part of our discussion today, was the ultimate goal of an entrepreneur is being as unrealistic for as long as possible.
For myself, at least, yeah.
For anybody, like,
yeah.
For like the mark of a successful entrepreneur is the guy that is still willing to sit in his office and dream and come up with stupid shit, and with enough willpowered conviction to inspire other people to actually fulfill those dreams. Like, look at Steve Jobs. He was the most unsatisfied, unrealistic, irrational, demanding people.
Yeah.
Like, they took an iPod, whatever the original prototypes were, revolutionary.
Yeah. And he wanted it more revolutionary.
Right, he takes the iPod, he throws it in a fish tank, and they're like, what the fuck? We just spent like $1 million of your money making that. Throws it in a fish tank, takes it out, and there's water pouring out of it. He's like, look at all that empty space. If I can fill it with water, you can fill it, or it's like, there's too much space.
Yeah.
Like, compress this goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Or Henry Ford in the V8.
Yeah.
Inventing something that they said was impossible. Like, the essence of being irrational.
Even when you have everything that you could ever want. These rich people have everything, whatever.
That's the point of being irrational and unreasonable.
Yeah, I agree.
For as long as possible.
What do you think about...
stop when they get some degree of success, right?
I don't know if you saw about this Elon Musk. He's opening his California plant against...
Yes.
Like, illegally opening it. And he said he's going to be there on the line working. And if they come to arrest the workers, he's going to ask that only he be arrested, not his workers.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
I think...
Because a lot of people are saying he's fucking greedy for, like, oh, I just want my stock price up and I don't give a shit about people's safety.
If you look at his tweets, he does not care about his stock price. He repeatedly sabotages his own stock price.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he does it for that. I think he's too simple a person for that.
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy that, like, will, with $1 billion, will sleep on a concrete factory floor.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of,
getting
done what he needs to get done. Like, he's all about the work. He's a practical man. I don't think he's doing it for the money. Or the clout, or fucking anything.
I'm a big...
He wants to get his factory back to work because he knows, like, okay, tell me one business owner that's going to say he wants to open his business for his own personal gain. Fuck no. People that want to open their businesses, keep them open their door. Well, the first thing they talk about is how many mouths they feed.
Yeah. Which the left argument to that would be, oh, they're just being fucking, they're just saying that, you know what I mean? Like they're...
Yeah, but like it's not
like
it's not like having jobs does anyone any good.
Yeah, I mean, but I honestly do think Elon Musk sees the value in, I want to get everyone electric cars, I want to go to Mars, I want to, save the Earth.
Oh, he's on a mission.
He's on a mission to save the fucking Earth.
Time to get back on it.
And exactly, time to get back on it.
It's not even about the money.
But he's talking about, and then whoever it was, I don't want to misquote somebody, but it was like the fucking official who was in charge of this was tweeting "fuck Elon Musk." Yeah, she like tweeted that, and then he's like, "Okay, like this is the last straw. Like I'm moving my fucking factory to Texas now."
Yeah,
and he was saying that they are the only car manufacturer left in California, and they're California's largest exporter. Is Tesla.
Yeah,
and he's just gonna fucking pull the plug.
Yeah.
And
don't play chicken with a private company.
Don't play chicken with fucking Elon Musk, because he will go back to being broke. He doesn't give a fuck.
He will put his factory on Mars.
He'll put his factory on Mars.
Or in international waters. Like underwater in international waters producing cars.
Ever play like Metal Gear Solid?
No.
Okay. There's one where there's I haven't played them all, but there's one where he like starts a micronation on like a oil rig and makes a private army and everything. Like I just that's what I'm thinking right now.
No, you would.
Elon Musk with an eye patch, like.
Yeah, he absolutely would.
But yeah, I mean, like, and to my knowledge, he's not like forcing anyone to come to work or anything like that.
No.
He's not like threatening them, "Oh, you can't get your benefits or whatever." It's like stay home, do whatever, and
he wouldn't be trying to open his factory if his people didn't want to go back to work.
exactly. Yeah.
I've been seeing some obviously probably far right posts of Anne Frank or the people hiding Anne Frank were breaking the law. The people that killed her were following the law.
Yeah, no,
So over the law, follow your God-given values, or like something. It was like a super right.
I've seen that. The metaphor goes too far for me.
Yeah, no, it does. Like,
but,
it was out of the blue today
yeah.
that I saw that, and then like as I'm scrolling through my feed, I saw that, and like 2 posts later, I saw Elon Musk saying he's going to reopen. I'm like, oh, okay, I see where you're going. I see where you're going.
You know, I've seen that before, and I get the.
It's certainly a cliche.
Yeah, and it's too. Yeah, the metaphor's a little bit too much for me to buy, but at the same time, I don't disagree with the sentiment.
I mean, there's a lot of boomers that would appreciate it.
Well, like all the basically the argument, and this goes past any political thing. It's not right or left. Like morality is not dictated by legality.
Yeah.
Right. Like slavery was legal.
Nobody can argue with that.
Slavery was legal. You know, lynching was legal. It's potassium bitartrate. It's tartaric acid.
Yeah.
Crystals that form in Great Point. What was I saying? Yeah, no. Slavery was legal. Lynching was legal.
Speaking of lynching, Armand.
Yeah, let's talk about that in a second. You know, you used to be able to like, if you raped a woman, you could pay her father to marry you, stuff like that. Like that used to be legal, right?
Absolutely.
Laws don't dictate what is right.
Unless it's the Bible.
Unless it's the Bible, then that's the holy, you know, the apex of everything.
Their laws are all right.
Anyway, you know, so just because something is illegal doesn't mean it's, you know, and I believe we should be on lockdown. I do believe this is a virus. I don't believe it's a fucking 5G like Chinese thing. Like I believe in all that.
Only we had 5G.
Yeah,
I don't. Internet's slow as hell right now.
Okay, where you live, maybe.
Everywhere.
Anyway, yeah, let's talk about that the public fucking lynching of an unarmed black jogger.
It's like every 6 months.
So let's run through the entire story and say both sides. Do you remember the victim's name? I don't know. It's
Ahmad. It's not Armand. It's Ahmad.
Yeah.
Is his first name Ahmaud?
Yeah, because I don't want to say the names of the killers, but we should honor him, the victim.
I can't remember his last name. Started with an A as well.
Was this is Georgia, South Carolina, Georgia?
Yeah, it was a
small town, and there had been apparently break-ins, but there hadn't been break-ins reported apparently. Like
there's break-ins everywhere.
Whatever, there's been break-ins. So there was this black man jogging, and these 2 white guys, father and son, pulled over and said, "Hey, stop!" And he's like, "Fuck you!" And then they shot and killed this unarmed black man.
Well, they said it was something to do with like a vacant property. He was like looking.
He was like jogging apparently. Like even if he was, you can't just fucking kill him.
I've walked onto so many vacant property lots. I've broken into vacant homes for the purpose of an investor's purpose to go purchase the home. Like we've kicked in doors and then like bought the house. Like that.
I don't give a shit if you're shoplifting or fucking stealing from houses. You can't kill somebody for that.
Or white guys in a black neighborhood kicking in doors.
Yeah.
Nobody says shit.
Yeah.
If you're a bunch of black guys in a white suburb, you're getting shot.
So somebody filmed this murder
Yeah, no, he was one of the.
I didn't watch the video because I just didn't want to subjugate myself to it. I understand what
He was
happened.
one of the guys participating.
Yeah, so
He helped them trap the guy in.
yeah, and they filmed this, and so what I read was that the white guy's lawyer released this video because he thought it would exonerate the white people. Because
It did not.
literally the argument was, well, he should have just complied, should have just froze. They told him to freeze, he didn't freeze. He got shot. They're not fucking cops. Even if they were.
It's a street fight to which you brought a shotgun.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's...
In any case, if it was a white guy with a white guy, or a black guy that shot a white guy, or any case in which a not black guy died, 100% there would have been an arrest.
Now I will...
Now they have arrested them. I mean, it's moving
So on. I will look on... I do like to look on all sides of a story like this.
Agreed.
And I will admit... I saw a very good argument because apparently the father or whatever was a former police officer.
And district attorney prosecutor.
So...
Not district attorney, but he was a prosecuting investigator.
I saw a good argument that this wasn't a race thing.
Yeah.
This was a cops are bullshit, like ACAB thing.
Sure.
Where it was cops protecting cops.
Yeah.
It wasn't white people protecting, or white people.
Yeah.
Which I can admit that might be it. But
I think that's the case.
But the moral of the story still is
he was black.
Fuck you. Like cops. Like
yeah, no, I think it was cops protecting cops.
Because the argument was if this guy that they shot was also white, the same thing would happen. The exact same situation.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. So I think the event happened because of racism, and the protection that preceded was cops protecting cops.
Yeah.
Because the DA that he worked for
was the one prosecuting.
Was the one that they released a memo saying you don't need to arrest this guy because he followed citizens' arrest laws. He had an open carry permit, and then they had a scuffle, which resulted in the guy getting shot.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to arrest him for this. If a cop, so my uncle is a sheriff in Texas.
Yeah.
Like, he's a chief, he's some kind of sergeant. He's really high ranking, runs a hostage negotiation unit. And he's, even being the prime hostage negotiator, he shot a guy dead the other day. He still gets, like, quote unquote, arrested, interviewed, screened, psychologically tested, like everything. They go, like, rigorously for a cop.
Yeah.
Shooting a man that was trying to shoot his wife in the face. Like, you cannot get any more black and white on, yes, this guy should have been taken down.
Yeah.
He still gets arrested, prosecuted, interviewed, the whole bit.
Yeah.
That these guys didn't get arrested.
Yeah.
Like,
in
what universe can you kill someone and just, like, not even get booked?
Well, because whether or not, I don't want to get into it on this episode, but whether or not you believe in guns, like gun rights, whether or not you believe in open carry, whether or not you believe in stand your ground, whether or not you believe in any of that, should you really be able to fucking kill somebody
and not have due process?
And not have at least due process, even if you can get away with it.
Yeah.
Eventually, you need to go through something, right? You know what I mean? Like,
let's check some facts.
Yeah. Well, because I'm split because I'm pretty libertarian on, like, if you hurt somebody, they should have the right to kill you. Or more so, hurt you back the same way you hurt them.
Yeah.
Right? But also, like, and I get property rights. I like property rights in theory. But also, if someone breaks in your house and you shoot them in the fucking face, like, was that really fair?
Yeah.
Right? That was not equal pressure, equal violence,
Maybe
right?
He's just trying to feed his family. Now he's
Well, he probably is, right? How many of these criminals? I've done crime before. It was never because whatever I hated people or whatever. It was because I was suffering.
Yeah, and some do it for sport.
Some do it for sport, sure, but
not typically.
No, I don't know. And even if they are, you don't get to just kill them, right? Like, I don't know, because I'm anti-death penalty. Mostly because I think the government's incompetent. They should never be able to say who lives and who dies.
Oh yeah, the number of times they execute the wrong man is just insane.
Yeah, which is why, like, I remember I said something pretty controversial, which is not new for me, but people were talking about mandatory chemical castration of like second-time child offender. Like if you're let's not say delicately, if you if you sexually commit sex crimes against a child more than twice and they chemically castrate you, and like basically take away the function of your genitals. And I was saying I was against that vehemently because there is no world where I want the government to be able to fucking castrate people legally.
Yeah.
Because
justified or not.
Justified or not, because it sets a precedent that can be done. So let's say castration for, pedophiles, let's say murder for murderers, like bring back death penalty, all that stuff, et cetera, et cetera. Now that is all in law, like one could make the argument, they're like, okay, well, we're killing murderers, right? It was like, well, shouldn't we kill human traffickers as well? That's equally as bad, right? And people go, yeah, that is pretty bad. Like, yeah, add them to the execution list, right? It's like, okay, well, maybe a drug dealer, street dealer isn't, we shouldn't kill them, but, maybe a kingpin, is killing all these people with drugs, but, maybe we should be executing them. People go, you're kind of right. Yeah. Like, all it takes is a fucking charismatic politician to start pushing this stuff through.
Yeah, and now it's COVID, and somebody sneezes on somebody else intentionally, quote, killing them, and now they're in the guillotine.
Yeah, well, and exactly. And it just fucking, it's like, well, not. And then, 8 years later, it's like, well, you guys voted, we passed the drug kingpin execution thing. It's like, why doesn't that apply to all drug dealers? And people go, yeah, I guess you're right. That's a fair argument.
Or anybody that has drugs.
And then that's what I'm getting to. Now it goes to possession, and now it goes to use it. Right now, like it's a slippery slope to give the government any sort of power like that, because right now our government and America's government is killing people indiscriminately in other countries with no repercussions. It's not a huge jump for them to start killing people here with no repercussions.
Yeah.
Right? Like
anything people do is mostly incompetent. Like
I just don't want to give them, because
giving anybody absolute permission to do anything is too much.
Because I always use this argument with like leftists that are simultaneously think the government should have more power, but then also think Trump is a Nazi.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, I want to give the government power, but only my guy.
Yeah.
It's like, you're aware in 8 years, everyone's going to vote the other guy. And then the party you hate is going to be in power for another 8 years. And you've just given them more power, right? And it just fucking creeps and creeps and creeps, right? If you really want to minimize the effect that Trump has, take away his power. Give it back to governors. Like, give the states back more power, right? Like, because I'm a big fan of representative government, where each, like, basically you're pretty localized, right? Like, you give municipal mayors and provincial premiers and stuff like that more power, because how the fuck what I care about in southern Manitoba does not apply to someone in Toronto or someone in Vancouver. Like, we live different worlds. Why is the same government running both of us?
Yeah.
When it's not relevant, really, right? And our premiers in Canada do have, which is the equivalent of a governor in the States, they do have a fair amount of power, but I would like to see that expanded a lot, and even more. Okay, so we used to have that, where local mayors and sheriffs and stuff would have absolute power.
Yeah, being a mayor meant something.
Because you couldn't fucking send a horse from Cheyenne, Wyoming to fucking Washington in 6.5 days to get an answer whether I should, like, you're holding a gun to somebody and you're like, okay, ride your horse to Washington, ask them if I can kill this guy, and they go all the way back and then come all the way back.
Yeah, it's like they kill and ask for forgiveness.
You couldn't do shit like that. But so we developed this bloated federal government where everything, came from the top down. But now that we have the internet and I can actually talk to every single voter, because that was another thing, but you couldn't realistically gauge what everyone thought, right? So you voted representatives that would vote for you. But realistically, we could do, like, we have
real-time democracy.
We have the fucking technology for, they do it with Amber Alerts, comes right to your fucking phone.
Yep.
So what if every single decision, if you're over 18, it comes right to your phone, you get a push notification that you can't dismiss that says, do you think we should legalize marijuana? Yes, no. And you have to answer.
You could make democracy real-time.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think we should be voting on every single...
Okay, so here's, ideally, yes. I think a lot of people could agree that would be good.
You could,
but what you can't possibly have is, like, a high degree of security.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, yeah.
Of that, like, the security...
I know it's not realistic.
Like,
I'm not suggesting that as a piece of policy.
So here's another piece of policy, like, even if voting online or voting via whatever through an app on your smartphone could be done, absolutely could be done.
Yeah. Or blockchain voting.
Right. So the Republicans are always fighting against that because higher voter turnout
is bad for them.
Is always bad for the Republicans.
But the argument is they don't want, like, quote, illegals to vote. That's not my word, that's their word. We don't want illegals voting. We don't want, all these people, whatever.
Don't tell me that you can't identify who a person is.
Well, okay, so here's
by their smartphone.
Yes, exactly. Fingerprint, right?
Well, no. I mean, like, literally all the other things. Where they spend their money. Credit cards.
Yeah.
Social media. Location.
Yeah.
Friends.
Yeah.
Interactions.
How hard is that?
Messages.
Yeah.
Like,
it could be done.
All of that.
It could be done.
Google has it.
The CSA...
TikTok has it.
The CSA argues... Or what's the... Not CSA, the...
NSA?
NSA arguably already has that information on you.
Oh, they absolutely do.
They know who you are and where you are.
Yeah, no, and they could ascertain your legitimacy or not.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
They're just not going to put the resources.
No, of course not. And I'm not suggesting anything I've been talking about. I'm not suggesting as an actual piece of policy. No. I'm just saying...
How fantastic would it be?
We have the same voting system that we've had since our inception in fucking 1863 or whatever, right?
Yes.
This is the exact same parliamental system that we've had.
Yeah.
And there's no reason for it, I think, now. Like, things can be changed.
And what was that rap song? This guy saying, let me make decisions about my tax dollars through an app on my phone. He's like, because, we make decisions on guns, on gun control, and it results not in peace or human rights, but a bullet going through a boy on my street. He's like, there's a 12-year-old boy that's bloody on my sidewalk because of a policy, endorsed by, parties that...
People you've never met.
By people that live in a place that's not actually, you don't live in peril every day because of guns.
Yeah.
You're living in Texas on your ranch, and you're all for guns. Great. I'm living in fucking Cleveland on the streets, and, I got a pistol, he's got a pistol, and we're both scared about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's localized. Makes so much sense.
I think localized makes a lot of sense. I think that we are now...
Localized and personal choice.
Yeah.
As stupid as people are, I mean...
Well, we always preach, you should be able to make the bad decision, right?
Yes, you should be able to make the bad decision, because if you have localized government, if you by city, by town, by province, if you could vote on something as simple as gun laws...
Yeah.
And then you vote one way, and then, everything goes terribly, and then you have the opportunity to vote again, and you're like, that was terrible.
Yeah.
I thought I wanted this, I don't want it. It's like a kid that eats candy and stays up all night.
And
there's instant consequence. People campaign for their beliefs because they do not have to suffer the consequences.
Yeah.
The death of so many political campaigns would be actually realizing what
they're campaigning for.
It's like all the people that are fighting for socialism go to fucking Cuba.
Yeah.
That idea, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the reality show where you send,
millennials to an actual
socialists to China, and,
Yeah. How they feel about it?
Oh, the good meme I saw that was this is old, but it's from Tumblr. All our favorite, there's a lot of socialist kids on Tumblr, or there were. I don't know if is Tumblr still around. I know they got bought.
Probably.
Whatever. Anyway, but and there were people being like, there was a thread, and this was like, people looked into it. This wasn't a joke. These were actual socialist people. It was a thread on everyone saying what their jobs would be after the revolution happened.
Okay.
So they overthrow the government, they may install a communist society, and then they're like, "Oh, I'd be designing the uniforms for the army or whatever." It's like, "Oh, I'd be doing accounting for this." It's like, no, they tell you you're a farmer now, and if you don't like it, you go in the fucking gulag.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get to pick what your fucking job is, right?
That's capitalism.
Exactly. It's like, "Oh, I'd be designing the uniforms." It's like, no, you would be a farmer.
No, the dictator's cousin is designing clothing. Who has no business designing clothing. He's just the dictator's cousin.
And it's like, and it's one of the most just disconnected things where it's like, no, now you are a farmer. And, well, I don't know anything about farming. Well, then you die. Like,
the thing you're describing is
capitalism
with no risk or responsibility.
Exactly, yeah.
Which is, it doesn't exist. It's fucking fantasy land.
Yeah, exactly. So, that was I always remember that. That was a good, it's like just so disconnected from how things.
Because what do people do when they're told what to do?
Well, when
the opposite.
Yeah, when I'm told what, I just made a Facebook status the other day. I'm like, if it wasn't obvious, I have a problem with authority.
Yeah, no, well, like
I have a bigger problem with authority than most.
You have an overt problem, and you take active, energetic action against authority. Most people just resent it,
but then do it.
You actively work against it.
Yeah,
which is, I mean, what makes you who you are.
This makes me, that's why I'm successful.
Yeah, and that's a mark of an entrepreneur, right? Is that action portion of it. But, man, if you had somebody with that level of control, like, there's some things that capitalism is ruining. Like, for example, they're talking about how a lot of the Ivy League universities are coming under a lot of scrutiny because university is supposed to be the great equalizer between class, right? By merit, by intelligence.
You got a degree, you could become rich.
Right, and by great intelligence, you should be able to get into university to get a good degree to become rich.
Yeah.
But now they're finding something like 70 or 80% of people that are actually getting into these universities are either by bribe or by reference. Like, as in your family donates to this institution, you can get in. Or,
you're talking about the Ivy League ones.
Right, yeah.
Okay. You're not saying 80% of people that go to university got there by bribes?
No. I mean the Ivy League, where they get like 40,000 applications.
There was that whole scandal recently with that woman. I don't remember it, but she was like bribing the school. Was it a Trump person? Something like that. There was a whole scandal recently.
But like, if you donate to the college or you're grandfathered in, like by sororities or whatever, like, those are the things that are getting you to the university. So they're saying these Ivy League universities that were previously supposed to be the great equalizer are now doing the opposite.
Well, I think they're scams. Like, they're, it's not, the 60s anymore. It's everyone is supposed to university. That's the new base level. It used to be,
and now Silicon Valley saying don't bother.
Everyone was going to high school and then getting a job right out of high school, and 10% of people went to university, and that set them apart. But now 90% of people go to university or some sort of post-secondary, some sort of trade college or whatever.
At least where we're from.
I live in a first world country, so
in a relatively good city.
We live in a pretty wealthy city in a pretty wealthy neighborhood in a pretty wealthy country. So, but if you're listening to this podcast, you probably live in a similar situation. But 90% of people are going to university. It's not special anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's lost the, what set you apart. Because I know a ton of people that were going to university and can't fucking find jobs.
Yeah, but I mean, they're also going to an
insignificant university, for one. Like,
I don't want to be like they're not smart enough to go to a good university, but like,
well, I whenever I hear about like the grades and the benchmarks that it takes to get into certain faculties and so on, like some of it seems quite erroneous, like the different things you have to do in order to progress through. But at the same time, it just seems like that bar seems really fucking low.
I remember in grade 12, we had to do a bunch of like, future planning and stuff like that. I remember they made you write a resume.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was like English class or something. We had to write 2 resumes. We had to write one for a realistic job, and then a second, second for like an unrealistic, your dream job.
Oh, I love
right?
that.
So everyone was like, okay, here's my resume for Best Buy, and then here's my resume for
Being the president.
No, even less than that. Everyone was like, oh, being a Michelin chef or being a, owning a Best Buy franchise. Like, it was like not whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I did like, here's my application for, like, the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway or something, like Warren Buffett's company, right? Like I'm like, I want a starting salary of $7 billion a year and like whatever. That was my realistic, and then my unrealistic was the CEO of the world. It's like, yeah, we're forming a new world cabal that I control all the countries, and I want to be in charge of that. That's my and I remember they were like talking to me. The teacher was talking to me afterwards, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, and they're like, what do you want to do with your life? Seriously. And I'm like, I don't know, business. And they're like, okay, well, you have to have an 85 average to get into Asper School of Business or whatever. And I'm like, well, I don't want to go to business school. Like, by the time I was in grade 12, by the tail end of it, I was already, I didn't know I was going to start this business.
Well, I would have started business. Well, you need an 85 average if you want to make profits.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I didn't know I wanted to start this business.
I've never had a customer ask for my GPA.
I fucking ask when I interview people if they didn't go to university. I'm like, oh, cool, good, you're a free thinker, like
Yeah. When you
because half the time when I interview people and I'm like, did you go to university? They're like, yeah. I'm like, why? They're like, because my mom told me to.
like,
right? I'm like, well, you might not fit in here, like. So I don't know.
It's a strike against you.
Yeah, I was never. And I didn't even know I was going to start this business until fucking a week before I started it. It was literally Zach and I were homebrewing.
It just kind of happens.
It kind of happened. I think I've told the story 100 times. I'm not going to go into it. But, it's... I didn't know I was going to do it until, like, I did it. Just like kind of you did it with your business just now.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been preaching my entire fucking life.
Went from employment to self-employed. Like, you really feel afraid of it before it happens, but I mean the actual time frame could be better measured in days than in months or weeks.
Yeah.
Like I really really can't complain. I mean it's such a short such a short distance between your reality and exactly where you want to be.
Yeah.
Like everything happens all at once really quickly.
Yeah.
Always.
Which I like. I prefer.
Yeah, like it happens really quickly. It takes forever for that to happen, but it happens really quickly. Like
I forget who had the quote, but he was like, "I'm an overnight success, 25 years in the making."
Yeah, it's 100% true.
Yeah.
I don't know how to teach how to take advantage of that. I don't think you can. I don't think you should. I don't think you should fucking endeavor to try. I resent people.
Try to teach the secret.
I resent people that try to teach the secret of entrepreneurship. Because I think you're devaluing the entire process.
How I'm going to teach it, because I do want to teach it, how I'm going to teach it is by not teaching it, is by telling my story and walking you through every single step of what I did personally, because everyone's going to need to get there differently.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's got to tell their story because...
But I can never tell you this is... Because copy what
It's not practical advice. It's inspirational.
Yeah, copy what I do, it's probably not going to work because you're not me.
Yeah. It's not practical advice. It never will be.
But I can never give practical advice with, here's what you do. Well, I can give practical advice. I can't give, here's what you do step by step to make it, right?
Yeah. No, you give practical advice in specific situations. You can't give it to achieving your goal.
Yeah.
And if you try to go out there and say, hey, I have the secret to happiness, in general, I mean, that's basically what the fuck people are marketing.
More or less.
And you yourself, your biggest goal right now is to sell that, you don't fucking have it.
Yeah.
And you cannot sell, which you do not know how to capture.
I literally tweeted today, if it takes more than one sentence to explain what they do, then it's
a fucking scam.
It's a scam, yeah.
And then somebody's like, I'm just not really good at explaining things. Like, says the person in the pyramid scheme.
I sell wine.
I build things. Like, literally, 3-word sentences should suffice.
Yeah.
10 words, if you're smart. If it takes more than 10 words, it's a scam.
Yeah.
Go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Fucking try again.
Yeah.
You've been messed
And whether it's a scam, I didn't really have I didn't write that for a specific... Anybody? I really didn't. I'm not even kidding.
But it's true.
But like it's true for MLM. It's true for coaching that doesn't, stuff like that. It's true. If you can't sum up what you do in less than a sentence, it's not true. It's a fucking scam. Because things are simple, honestly.
Yeah.
They're not that complicated. Even people...
And if try is in there anywhere, you don't.
Exactly, yeah.
You don't.
Because I tried to sell wine. Because and somebody else responded to it. They were like, "Oh, but what if you do 100 different things with 100 different companies?" You probably don't.
No, you do one thing.
Probably maybe run operations with 500 companies, but then you can say, "I run operations," right? Like.
No, you do one thing with 100 things.
Yeah.
You can't do 100 things.
Well, me selling wine, I'm doing a million things. I'm fucking making phone calls and going to meetings and talking to people and sampling and making markets and blah, 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 blah.
To one end.
To one end. So what's the end, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're going to cut it there. Comment with what your one sentence of what you do is. And if you can't come up with it in less than a sentence, then you are a scam.
And if you got shit to say about our microphones,
keep saying it.
Have at it.
Have at it.
Keep reminding us to actually buy something.
Thanks for listening. Alcohol Beyond This Point. Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast on Facebook and Alcohol Beyond This Point on Instagram. My name is Willows. That's Vote Willows on everything. VOTEWILOWS.
They're going to keep talking. Reachable at Tyler _builder, and I'm going to post some hopefully satisfying ASMR type satisfying transformations of shit I'm doing right now, and besides that, I have nothing of interest.
Sure. Even that's barely interesting. So.
I'm a simple man that likes wine.
Hey, me too. We're a match made in heaven.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening. Appreciate it.